Hello.
Hi, my gorgeous bride.
How are you? Hang on one second. It's seeing it like my camera's all like dirty and foggy. I was like, why is it like that? Does it look foggy on your end or just on my end?
It looks better now.
It was like free. Hi Danielle. Hi Kisa. Hi Lori. Hi Erica. Hi Ashley. Laura, we're twinning. Hi Amber. Hi Steve.
There is community transmission. If it's determined that that individual fits what
Okay, well, I am just gonna dive in. I know we'll have a couple people joining us. I'm not sure where everybody is right now, screwed up with daylight savings. But you guys, just a couple super quick announcements before we get into tonight's call. And while we're loading the call, if you guys can all just ping like one person on your team, upline, downline, crossline, sponsor, and be like, get your butt on the call. I wanna know where all of our people are tonight. We're such a treat to have Mackenzie on the call. So definitely just ping a couple people. Hi, Alex, and let's load this call for her. And in the meantime, before I introduce her, I'm going to mute. Let's just take care of all that right now. And give you just a couple updates, and then we're going to dive right into it. But you guys remember that there is a Build a Better Future for Teens in Kenya right now. So the Star Group is organizing a fundraiser March 2nd through April 1st, partnering with the ISA Foundation. This is specifically for teens living in the House of Hope Orphanage in Kenya. So please go to the Start Your Life contribution page for more information. Promos, the Immune Shake Booster is 15% off through March 29th with all of the coronavirus crazy. That's a great thing to have on hand. Plus, in the US only, remember we have the BIA promo that if you buy one of the 12 count Barry Bellini case, you will receive your second case 50% off. This is from March 9th to March 15th. Plus, starting March 9th, participants have to do the following. Post a 30-second video to Vimeo, Instagram, or YouTube. Go to the Isagenix Facebook page, go to the BIA Ultimate Fan tab, submit your video entry, the URL into the submission form, and then those fans are eligible to win BIA for 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. Oh my gosh. The Crystal Manager deadline is March 22nd, just 13 days away. Remember, that's 2 new consultants for anyone who's never hit manager, or if you have hit executive and you're going for it all over again. Wellness Wednesday this week is with Josh Plant and Dr. Lindsay Huffber. You guys want to make sure you get your people on that. So that being said, hi Jack, hi Lori, hi Alex. I know a few of you guys have popped on. I am super excited to introduce my sweet friend Mackenzie to this call. As you guys know, we have been trying to kind of alternate between me doing some team calls and then of course having some great guest speakers on the call. And I saw Mackenzie train on connecting at our Super Saturday almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy. And I loved it. I've like stolen some of her slides because she did it in such an organic way. Both some things online and offline that we're going to go through tonight after she tells her story. But I want you guys to know that Mackenzie started her business at 23 with no network marketing experience. Prior to that, she was running a tanning business in downtown San Diego. And you guys, when you talk about like you never know where people are going to show up, the person that got her started like went in to get a spray tan. Like if you don't know Rebecca Cafiero, it's such like divine intervention. But she literally went in to get a spray tan, and lo and behold, Mackenzie will be one of the Isagenix millionaires that you will hear announced sooner than later. She's a 6-star Crystal Executive, 5-star Golden Circle. She's married to a naval aviator. She is a STAR ambassador, and she has won Top Achievers, multiple awards, the 2018 Memento Award. She spoke on Kathy's panel at Celebration. Like, it is such a treat to have her on here. So with no further ado, I'm going to mute. And Mackenzie, I'm going to ask you, if you wouldn't mind, just to start with sharing your story. I kind of know I went through it a little bit, but kind of a little bit more in depth. Like, you can, spend 10, 15 minutes, no, 5 or 10, whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be the 30-second version, but like, not only how Rebecca like introduced you to this, but like, how were you feeling beforehand? Like, what was life like? And then what did you do that kind of immediately got you into action? Like, what was it that just got you like, oh my gosh, I want to go for this? What were some of those like very few things you did? Just kind of chat with us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your call. This is such a gift, honor, and privilege. You guys are so lucky to have Lauren as your leader. She is someone that I have adored, I have respected, I have followed, and she has loved on me, cheered me on, and mentored me from afar. And Lauren, you're just such a gift, so thank you for having me on. So Lauren touched on it, but very long story short, I'm from Michigan. I grew up in Michigan. I went to college in Michigan. I hated Michigan, loved Michigan, but hated going to school there. I told my parents I would never attend university in Michigan. Academically, I was more right-brained, creative. I knocked out group projects, really hated sitting in a classroom and learning, and didn't get an academic scholarship, ended up getting a leadership scholarship. And because I was paying for school, I took it and I stayed in school for Michigan, in Michigan. And because I struggled in the classroom, I made a rule with myself that I would take an unpaid internship every summer and work for free for someone that had achieved, something in their business or something in their life that I'd want to achieve. So I think I was, 18 or 19 years old. I moved to Chicago and worked for a self-made millionaire, actually, ironically, in network marketing with a different company, and watched her build her network marketing company, little bits and pieces on the phone, but I was her nanny and worked for her online beauty business. So I, at the time, was majoring in apparel merchandising and thought that's what I wanted to do, or work in PR or for a magazine. And I did spray tans in her garage for the staff to make extra income. And another summer, I moved out to East Hampton, New York. I'd actually met a bartender in Florida that offered me a job in the Hamptons. Vetted that situation as good as I could and got in my car and moved to New York for a summer. Never been there, lived with a bunch of people in a staff house. But I collected a lot of experiences that when Isagenix was introduced to me, when I turned 23, at that time I was living in San Diego. So fast forward, I finished my senior year of college and ended up moving to San Diego with my now husband. He's a pilot in the Navy, so he was kind of stuck in San Diego. We've been doing long distance. And so it's kind of time to either be in the same city or break up. So I remember telling him that, no pressure that I'm coming out to San Diego. Like, this is okay. If it doesn't work out, we have to figure it out. And I've always wanted to live in Los Angeles. So I'm basically almost there. That's what I said. It worked out and we're married. But, my chapter in San Diego was very difficult. And when I talk about it, it's so hard to talk about it because it was such a dark time for me. And you would have never seen that on social media. I was living paycheck to paycheck. Essentially, when I moved out to San Diego, I had $30 in my bank account. I had really no plan there. I remember spending all my money on spring break that April prior to moving in May, going out to San Diego and doing internship interviews and job interviews. I mean, I probably sent out my resume to probably 100 places and kind of just got that firsthand experience of how hard it was going to be to really find alignment in work, right? I was coming out thinking I'm going to get hired by this PR firm or go into, some great event company. And I got to San Diego and it was very hospitality driven. So I'd get offered some position that, said it was event marketing, and it was really managing a catering staff. And so it was just kind of my first taste of, okay, this is reality of where I want to be is going to take me a very long time to get there. And at that point I was drowning in student debt. And I think my interest on my student debt was at least like 7.5 or 8%. So I had no money and didn't even realize that my student debt payment started processing. So eventually they went into deferral, and that was super scary and it affected my credit. but I just did what I knew what to do. And that was just kind of pull up my bootstraps and get as many jobs as I could and start working. And so a normal day for me in San Diego was waking up at 5 a.m., walking to my first job. Now, when I drove across the country with JJ, my car died halfway through. Part of that story is that I had accepted a position in La Jolla, California, which was like 35 minutes from downtown where I was living. There was no bus routes that went to La Jolla. So I actually had to submit my resignation to a magazine that I had gotten a position for. It was, you guys, it was just like one devastation after another. I took an internship with a PR company that one of their clients was Invisible Children, and a huge passion of mine is philanthropy. And, you know, it was my dream to work for Invisible Children. And I'll never forget that basically the internship told me, well, they're one of our clients and they're going to be hiring. So after you finish our internship, you'll go work for them. And I was sitting at a meeting in downtown San Diego. There's something called Creative Mornings. And if you're in a big city, write that down. It's a great monthly meeting in large cities where they bring in creative and business owners. And it's a networking kind of brunch that's open and it's free. And it's a great networking event. And so for some reason I didn't work that morning, and I knew that the founder of Invisible Children was going to be speaking. Now, this was after, if you guys remember following his, you know, his journey of starting Invisible Children, he had a mental breakdown in public, and the PR firm that I was interning for kind of handled that breakdown. And so at this Creative Mornings, you know, breakfast brunch, I was so excited to hear a story. Here I am thinking, I'm going to start working for them. He announced, he said, you know, you're going to be the first group of people to hear it, but we're closing our doors. And I was like, are you kidding me? At that point, I think that was my third or fourth, you know, job or opportunity that the door closed. And so I just turned to side hustles and jobs. You know, I worked at a blow dry bar for $9 an hour at the front desk. I was managing medical spas. I was managing hair salons. None of that was my background. I mean, I had been doing spray tanning since I was the age of 15. It was kind of my side hustle in college. I used to put a spray tanning machine into a rolling suitcase I got from TJ Maxx, rolled across a college campus in the winter in Michigan, and spray tan girls for $25. I had this hustle inside of me, right? And this grit that I was going to do what I had to do to get it done. Okay. And this is going to lead into what to look for when you're connecting people. So, you know, San Diego was just kind of that same thing. It was like, I never had time to work out. I never had extra money. I remember that I would, you know, get invitations from military spouses or girls that would meet at my job to go out and brunch, or to, you know, go to a Padres game, which is the baseball game. And we lived right by the stadium. And I always had to decline because I'm telling you, I didn't have an extra $25 in my bank account. I remember wanting to go to the store and buy a bottle of OPI nail polish for $8, and I did not have the extra income. And so when Isagenix was introduced to me, it was Rebecca Caffiero. She was in town for Celebration, and I, you know, had a Yelp page, and I did organic spray tans, and she was pregnant at the time. And, you know, as fate would have it, she came into my spray tanning studio and we connected. What's crazy about that is that same week, I met so many Isagenix millionaires. I mean, I could tell you who was sitting where in the chair getting their hair done, and no one approached me with Isagenix. I remember thinking, like, I would hear all these successful businesswomen pitch Isagenix, and I saw their handbags and their gorgeous jewelry and their beautiful faces, and they just had this healthy glow. And I just remember thinking, I want to do what they do. Maybe they'll talk to me. And no one did, you guys. I'm sitting there, you know, checking people in, and I have my phone, which I was not allowed to do. I'd get in trouble because there's a security camera on me. But I would look at the booking system, and I'd hear this amazing business owner pitching her business to my girlfriend who's doing her hair. And I'd open up the booking system and follow, you know, look around on Instagram and think, oh, I want to join her team. I want to do what she does. I want her to be my leader. And no one tried to connect with me. So thankfully, later that night, probably around, you know, 4, 5, 6 p.m., I got a random phone call from Yelp that was connected to my cell phone, and someone said, hey, can you come spray tan me? And that was Rebecca. And she ended up, you know, we connected after that spray tan appointment. People often ask me what she said in that appointment. And you know what? I think I was just so drawn to her energy and her kindness. And I never talk about clients' bodies, but she was pregnant at the time, and, you know, a couple years older than me. I was 23 at the time, and she was in her 30s. And I just remember thinking, I've never looked that good, and I'm in my, you know, early 20s, and she's pregnant. Whatever she's doing, I want to do. And she didn't try to pitch me Isagenix. I remember thinking she was in pharmaceutical sales or something. I really couldn't figure out what she did. But she just took an interest in me, and she started a conversation. And that just leads into connecting, because she left me with this beautiful impression of, wow, she made my day. She was so kind. I felt like I made a great girlfriend, and I wanted to, if she lived in San Diego, she would have been someone that I would have tried to forge a relationship with. But I remember she did tell me that she works in holistic wellness because she is certified in holistic health and nutrition. And she showed me before and after photo. And it was of her face. And I remember saying, how do you lose weight in your face? And I remember going home that night and Googling it, and I couldn't figure it out. And she started to explain to me that she used a holistic system that aided the body and, cleansing and smoothies. And I'm Midwest through and through. So at that point, she was not speaking my language, but that wasn't the point. And she didn't have to deliver any scientific knowledge. It was the fact that she made a great connection. And she asked me questions about me, which if you work in a service industry, if you are working a front desk like I was, and you're dealing with people all day long, very few times people stop to look at you and really ask how you're doing or want to have a conversation with you. So that just in and of itself and how she treated me was so refreshing. And that night I went home and I looked her up on Facebook. And I was like, I just want to know what she does. She makes really great money and she was so beautiful and so kind. Like, I want to know what she does. So I actually reached out to her and I sent her a Facebook friend request and messaged her that night. And I said, I want to know what you do for money. And she ended up offering to connect with me that next day. And I always worked multiple jobs. And so for some reason I could, I was able to meet with her, but I do remember I spray tanned her for a podcast interview and a photo shoot for Start 1000. She had just hit Start 1000 and she left the hotel in full hair and makeup and squeezed me in. And I just always think, how many times do you connect with an Uber driver at an event or someone and, they want to meet up with you and it's not totally convenient. I promise you that if Rebecca had not met up with me in the 15 free minutes I had that day and gotten me to Celebration the next day, I would not be in Isagenix. I would not. And so she showed up. I think she had her hair still in curlers and she explained the business. I didn't get it. Okay. I didn't have a background in network marketing, the legs and the volume not wiping. My mom did do a skincare business, a really popular skincare network marketing business. But I didn't know, a lot of information about her compensation plan. What she did do was amazing. And she looked me in the eyes and she said, what do you need right now? And I could have cried answering that question because I needed a lot. I needed community. I needed income. I needed healthy options for my body. I was so stressed out and I needed a plan for my future. I didn't have that. And so she said to me, we have this event tomorrow. It's starting. If you're seriously interested in just even looking at this, the only thing that I can really tell you is going to really, really give you the big picture is getting to this event. So she didn't offer me different options. She needed to get me to this event. And I remember later on, she's become such a dear friend of mine. She said, Mackenzie, I've invited so many people to events, and how many of us have invited Uber drivers and, different Airbnb hosts I have, and they don't show up. I woke up so early that morning. I lived right downtown, so just a few blocks away from the convention center. I put on a blazer, I put on my makeup, and I showed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so nervous. The energy of the event, the people that I met, the hugs that I got, you guys, if I took away nothing from that event, I think I only was able to stay for Hillary Courtney handed out the mustard seeds and she spoke on her why. That's all I heard that day. You guys were there. It was just everything my heart needed. And it was so powerful. And it was my first taste of this culture and what was possible. And like I said, I totally didn't, it didn't all connect, but someone was sitting in front of me telling me and just pointing at people on stage and saying, this could be you. This is what's here for you. You have a place here. I want to link arms in this business. And then there was a little lunch break and we sat outside and she looked at me and she said, what amount of income would impact your life per month? And I remember looking at her and it was such an uncomfortable question, you guys, because at that point, like a penny would change my life. And you think I'm being dramatic, which I am sometimes, but I was not. Like anything would have had an impact on my life, right? And I remember I gave her a number and I think I said maybe $200 a month. And she said, okay, for what? And I said, I probably cried to her, a stranger sitting outside. And I said, well, I have student loan debt that I can't even make a payment on right now. And she said, how much is it? And I said, it's closer to 400. She said, so you need to make $400 a month. And I couldn't even stretch myself at that point to think that I could do that because I still didn't get a lot of this. And she said, you can do that. And it was just her confidence in me, right? I didn't need to understand the nitty gritty of the business. I needed someone to believe in me at that point in my life, right? And be willing to work with what I had at that moment. And so I I think it took me 2 weeks to order my first box. I was so broke. I had to scrape the pennies together. She really explained to me you plus two, them plus two. Okay. And so I understood that I had to grab 2 people in 30 days. And my big conviction in this, because I joined for the business. I mean, I was pretty skeptical about the products. I lost 18 pounds. These products changed my life. My husband ended up, we were dating at the time, just dropped 20 pounds, although men can look at a shake and drop 20 pounds. So it's just so much easier for them. I don't know why, but, you know, I really joined for the business. And so I remember saying, JJ offered to pay for my box, and I was already living with him. And I was like, no, because if I'm going to do this business, I need to show people that if they're in my situation and they have $400 in their bank account, savings included, you guys, my business rent was coming out that next week. I had a cell phone bill. I had student loan payments. I had to feed myself. 2 weeks before I ordered Isagenix, my card was declined buying groceries. I mean, that was my financial situation. And so the coolest thing to me about Isagenix was that there was a plan and there was money on the table. I didn't have to jump through hoops. There wasn't hidden money. I didn't have to qualify. I had to, you know, check the boxes and do the steps. And that was grab 2 friends and enroll them. You know, in my case, it was a basic 30-day system because I had to work on my belief and my money mindset. So, I mean, that's how I came into Isagenix. But Lauren, what you asked me was, you know, I had that fire and that grit and that, I mean, I wasn't afraid to do the hard work. And I spoke at Celebration on Kathy's panel, and really the message, what I shared was choose your hard, right? So when I looked at Isagenix, were there going to be things that were going to be very hard for me? Are there still things that are hard for me? Absolutely. But compared to not being able to afford groceries, not having time for myself. I mean, my family lived in Michigan and I was having a really hard time living on the West Coast, and I couldn't go home for holidays. And I just didn't have choice. So the hard of what I was going to face, and I faced a lot of rejection. I faced cyberbullying through Facebook, you know, you name it, I dealt with it. But that hard was so minimal in comparison to what my situation was prior to Isagenix. So I just jumped in with 2 feet, and I never treated the business as an option. I mean, there wasn't a single day where an upline had to text me and ask me if I was running for a crystal deadline, if I was going to hit something. You know, I understood coming in that I had resources, but everything was up to me. And so I had to work on my mindset. I had to work on my product journey. The products actually did not come naturally for me. And I always share that with people that, you know, the networking aspect of the business was natural for me, but actually sticking with products and working on some, you know, issues that I just had around my eating, you know, my eating patterns and probably how I was raised around food. You know, I wasn't raised in a healthy household. My mom is amazing, but I was, a trained classic ballerina. I mean, I would do 8 hours of ballet on Sunday, and then we'd work through Taco Bell and I'd eat a, cheesy gordita crunch after 8 hours of dance. Like I did not understand nutrition and taking care of myself. So I actually had to work through some, habitual eating habits and mindset around food and nutrition. So that was my struggle. And so I think it's easy to look at people, and I'm excited to teach you about connecting tonight and what's worked really well and duplicated in my business. But just know that we all have hard, and what's great about this business is it is a skill-based business. So you just have to take the time and commitment to learn the skill sets and develop those and duplicate them to have success. And we can do that in all areas. So for me, the business and the networking and sharing what I love was easy. It was actually committing to my product journey that was a struggle in the beginning.
I love that you said that, because that's usually the opposite for people, that they have like great product experience. Then they're like, what do I say? And how do I say it? You guys, I'm so grateful all of you are on and you popped on. If you can't put on your videos, it's so fun to see your faces. But if you're driving or doing whatever, I'm just grateful that you're on here. And Mackenzie, like every time I hear your story, I get fired up again. And I continue to learn more things about you, which I think is just so awesome. And super, super fun. So I want to redirect here for just a little bit, and I'm going to kind of break it into online and offline.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to chat a little bit about your social media, and not only how you're consistent with posting and consistent with building a brand, but how you're also not posting and praying, right? You're just not ooh, if I put a transformation up, Janelle and Ashley and Erica are all enrolling with me, right? What is it that you do, and how are you building a business through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through Facebook? What is the profiles that you really use, and maybe some of the steps that you said are duplicatable within your team?
Yeah. Okay. So I really only use Facebook and Instagram. I don't have Snapchat. I've never used LinkedIn. The thing, you guys, is I don't have a college degree. I went to school for 4 years and switched my major as a senior. And I actually ran out of student loans to finish my degree. And so that was a big thing on my why, was that so much about money was dictating my life, and it cut me off in so many areas that I was trying to flourish. And so LinkedIn just would never, I'd have a hard time talking to people in corporate, right? And recruiting off of LinkedIn. I also want to say I've never sent a cold message on social media. So I'm really big, and I teach my team, if people that work with me, like when I work with people, I work with them like one-on-one, is you need to share your journey and bring people along on your journey. What people don't want to see on social media is more graphics. And, you know, I see it all the time on Instagram, I actually don't see in Isagenix, but in other companies where you can tell that the same graphics are shared over and over and over again, right? People want to know who you are, what you love, what excites you. People want to have a connecting point with you. So I really use Instagram as a place to be vulnerable, to share my life, and to share all aspects of me. And if you actually were to go to my Instagram right now and you looked at my feed, you wouldn't see Isagenix. You wouldn't see network marketing. That is how I choose to build, because you have to understand what your demographic and what your network likes to see. And I've said this before, and it's a saying in sales, is follow your nose, right? So when I used to post body photos, I went, I think, a full year without ever posting a picture of my body. That's just not been my journey. I post my face photo transformations, but not like belly photos. I lost 18 pounds. I thought I had an amazing transformation. When I posted my personal before and afters, I thought, oh my gosh, you know, all these skeptics, all these people I've never enrolled are going to enroll with me. Crickets. No one. When I post graphics about challenges, no one. It just doesn't, that's just not what my network follows, right? Last week I did an unboxing video of what I got in my auto ship and walked people through. I explained to people that it's, you know, it's a membership-based shopping. This is how I explain Isagenix. You guys shop on Thrive Market, Costco, Amazon. I set people up with Isagenix wholesale accounts, and I'm going to shop with you, and I'm going to guide you through it, and I'm going to add you to our product page. You're going to love our community. You know, you do not have to be on auto ship. I address people's objections all the time on social media. You do not have to, of course, I'll explain the benefits of lifestyle rewards to people, but I tell people, because what people's experience has been prior to, I want to cancel it out before they tune out. Does that make sense? So I always address that in my Instagram, and I say the same thing over and over and over again. So I explain that it's membership-based pricing. You get a wholesale account, you get a wholesale account the whole year. And I always explain, I pay the same price as you. I always explain that to people. You do not have to talk about Isagenix to get a wholesale price. And in fact, I pay the same amount that JJ pays, that my mom pays, that you will pay. Because people just have weirdness around network marketing, and I want to just erase that. So last week I did that. I enrolled in the last, you know, I've been in Isagenix now for 4.5 years. I've enrolled over 14 people in the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And it was doing an unboxing video on Instagram and showing people what I like to use, how I use it, why I like it, turn the camera on JJ, made him try one of the peanut butter protein bites. We're married, but we're long distance right now, so he hadn't tried this yet. Got his first reaction, and everybody responded to that. So that was one of the first times I had done like a larger, longer unboxing video, and guess what? I put that on my yes list. I follow my yeses and my nos. Okay, that worked for me. What I tell people all the time is with social media, you need to try everything and figure out what people respond to and take notice of that, right? So I think people oftentimes are like, oh, I'm trying to build Isagenix, it's not working for me. Like, no one's reaching out to me. And I will just, you know, kind of sit down with someone and say, okay, well, let's go through this all. You know, are you sharing the same products all the time? I mean, I caught myself, you know, probably 2 years in my journey, and I was like, I'm only talking about shakes and cleanse, and we have so many good products, right? So, and then are you consistent? I pulled this up before we got in the call, the last 7 people I've enrolled, I've been talking to for 3.5 years. And I'm such a believer in consistency on social media. Keep sharing your before and after photo, keep sharing teammates' photos, you know, stay consistent and stay committed. And the thing about this too is when it comes to connecting, you guys, it's all about the energy you bring and where you are, your journey. So I ask people all the time, are you in love with your product journey right now? People who are building the business. And they say, you know, no one's reaching out or not enrolling anyone. I say, are you in love with your product journey? It's okay if you're not. There's been times, honestly, I have not, you know, and I check myself. Usually I have to do a 48-hour cleanse or try something new, or, you know, I've been into shake combinations lately, and I'm like, I can't put down my shakes. But I'll ask people, are you in love with your product journey? And in the same respect is, you know, are you talking about money on social media and talking about business? And are you in love with the process of developing your skill sets? Because if you have weird energy around the products, people are going to feel that, even if it's on social media. If you are enthusiastic and you are confident and you are, at ease talking about your journey, people love to see that, love to feel that, right? It's when we're weird about things that people don't connect. I think a big thing about social media too is, are you kind of balancing out what you share on there? Social media now really is a place where people just want value. And so if all I'm doing is sharing before and after photos, is that really giving value to people? No. If you are in a place where you're struggling with your body, would it be easy to be following someone that's constantly posting, sexy photos of abs? No. Motivating for some, but not all, right? And so what value are you bringing around Isagenix? Something that I love to do, and here's some little easy duplicatable tips and tricks, is when it's a safe post, obviously within your product page, we'll do like Face Fridays, right? And we'll always make sure, is everyone okay that comments on this thread? Are you okay if we share this on social media? But I'll do a screen recording of our product page. And if you don't know how to do screen recording, you can message me and I'll give you instructions, but I'll record my screen, right? And I'll do a video of everybody's transformation. I'll scroll through that. And then I'll post that video on my Instagram page and say, I'm so inspired by seeing everybody's journey and the transformations they're having, so excited to see inflammation going down, whatever it is. I try to talk about inflammation, cortisol levels, weight, athletic performance, all the things. And going back to consistency and, connecting on social media is you have to understand that it's really about timing for people. I mean, I've enrolled some of my biggest leaders, my best product users, after them watching stories for months or years. Like I can think of one of my best business builders and product users. She's a trainer and she had said no so many times. And I posted about having energy. I was doing something at night. And I just remember, this is 3 years ago now, but I just remember her saying, okay, whatever you just talked about, sign me up. I'm at the gym right now. And I just got back into my car because I'm so exhausted I can't do my workout. And that's what I mean about consistency on social media. It's not that you have to always say the right thing, but do people understand when they go to your page, what you share, what you stand for, what you love, and the solutions you offer, right? So I'm not one to explain science on my social media, but I am big about giving value because there are so many shake products and nutrition products that I like to share what's different. And what's different to me about Isagenix is the culture we have. So it's why I love to share snapshots of our product pages and other people's journeys. And I think what's great about it too is creating a highlight on your Instagram. So creating a highlight with, before and afters that you can just keep directing people to, and just say, hey, check out this highlight, tap through to see some of my favorite products, because it's easy for me. Like I'm addicted to Via. So I think Via's in my Instagram stories all the time, right? Or there's things that I drink Ionix and bone broth every day, but I'm not snapping photos. So I'll take a really nice photo of products and save it in my highlights and then just keep redirecting people to look through those highlights, right? But I think consistency in your message with people, but I also think talking about things that are relevant, right? And starting conversations. So tonight I did a pretty ridiculous Instagram story about how invested I am in The Bachelor. Okay. I don't have cable. I'm not watching it tonight, but do you know how many people are invested in that? And people that would never message me on social media about Isagenix or the income. I need to see who's watching my content and build relationships with people, because at the end of the day, I don't go on social media to sell Isagenix. I don't. That's not my goal. My goal always is to build relationships with people and make girlfriends. And that's how I've always built my business, is that I'm just like obsessed with making friends and connecting and serving and loving on people. And so if all you're doing is talk about Isagenix or only sharing before and afters, there's not a lot of connecting points, right? So I always work with people and I say, what are you passionate about and where are areas in your life that you can add a lot of value to? So for me, it might be military life. It might be, how to keep a really loving marriage in long distance. It could be, I love beauty and makeup, right? You'll see me if you follow me on Instagram. I still talk about spray tanning all the time because there's a lot of young women that are getting into the beauty business, whether it's eyelash extensions or spray tans or makeup artists as a side business. And so that creates a great conversation. What that ends up happening is I talk about why I stopped doing spray tans or why I don't offer that as a business. It leads into a conversation about the freedom of my Isagenix business, right? So maybe, think about what you're passionate about, and you are going to be at ease and in the best ability to connect with people when you're talking about the things that you love. Isagenix is going to be a part of that, but it's not going to be everything. Like I love photography and I'll post pictures and people say, what kind of camera do you have? And that's where I will go and say, oh, what's your name on Facebook? So if you have a friend that you've made on Instagram, taking them off Instagram and going to Facebook. And then I think lastly, what's really important about being consistent is having something you can invite people to at the end of the day. So things are going to change as you build your business, right? And, you know, especially my team, they're seeing me 4.5, almost 5 years into my journey. But for almost 2 years, I hosted a little Wellness Wednesday on my computer. My husband, he proposed to me in San Diego. 30 days later, got deployed. The day he got deployed, this is a big part of my story, his dad got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I mean, it was the worst day of our lives. And I packed up our loft. We owned a loft in downtown San Diego, put it on Craigslist, found a property manager, you know, found a renter, took photos, got the listing together, and I got on a plane and I moved back to Michigan. I lived with my dad, moved back into my, you know, high school house, and I built my business on the basement floor of my high school house. I mean, it was not glamorous. It was not cute. Was not excited about leaving, you know, a team and a business I'd started building in San Diego to go back to Michigan. But I had to do what I had to do, and thank God for this business, right? And so I would host this Wellness Wednesday on the floor of my basement because, you know, people would be in and out of my house, right? I had older siblings that would stop by and whatnot. I mean, no special ring light, no, you know, pretty makeup. It was the most basic presentation. And I actually found one of my very first ones on YouTube the other day, and I sent it to some of my leaders. I said, I want you to see this. But what I want you to see is that this is not how I'd explain Isagenix anymore. This is not my posture anymore. And guess what? I enrolled 16 people with that video 4.5 years ago. And what I try to explain to people is that providing people with information, no matter how shaky it might be, or, you know, how it is, the most important thing is that you're giving people the information, right? And so I would host these Wellness Wednesdays, and there's so many times, you guys, no one showed up. And so I made a commitment to myself though, right? And first of all, I'd say, okay, I'm never going to have a Wellness Wednesday where no one shows up again. So I need to do more reach outs, and I need to, you know, do more follow-ups. But I would record myself and I'd watch it and I'd say, that didn't make sense. I talk very fast, and sometimes I do not pronunciate my words very well. And I would practice, and then I would record it. And if I liked it, I would send it out to my list. And that was, you know, the thing I want to lead into, Lauren, was just I don't know how people build a network marketing business if they don't have a list. So I just have a very ugly Google Doc, and I track anyone that's ever messaged me about Isagenix, texted me about Isagenix, commented on a photo, anything. They go on a list. And all I do every single day is I open up that really ugly Google Doc. It's not very organized. I'm not very organized, but I go through that list. So every week I'd message people within reason, and I would send them a little voice memo, and I would say, hey girlfriend, I know we, you know, had connected about Isagenix a few weeks ago and it wasn't the right time. I'm hosting a really quick 30-minute overview. If you wanted to just jump on and kind of relearn about it, I'd love to do it. Because the reality is, you guys, is no one has all day, every day to build Isagenix, right? So I needed a tool that I could send to people. And in the beginning, I think what I remember struggling with was how I explained Isagenix, because we have so many different packs and systems and so many different products. And I love that each person that comes into my life is going to get a really customized experience with Isagenix, but I needed a tool and something simple and duplicatable that I could send to someone and explain it, especially when I was
I had a feeling she was going to drop. I was like kind of crackly in her service. It kept telling me that her internet was unstable. So she's going to pop in here in just a second and probably finish up in what she's talking about with the tool that she needed to send. But just two things I wanted to touch base on here while we're waiting for her to pop on. One of them is Mackenzie has a really amazing kind of rags to riches story similar to mine. And that it's amazing sometimes when you find, Mackenzie, I had a feeling you're going to drop. I'm just chiming in here and I'll let you pick up where you were. But when you have these like rags to riches stories and you find these people that burn in desire and they're working all these jobs, they're already really busy and they have all this hustle that do it well. But I want to remind you that when you're looking for people, you know, online or offline, that it's not always these rag to riches stories, and that there are a lot of people out there that are very successful. Like there's a lot of people out there who are not in debt. There's a lot of people out there who are looking for additional streams of revenue. Like the richest people I know are making investments. They want an income producing asset. And so just don't feel like that has to be the pocket of where you're looking for. And some of the things that she's just recently said that I love, and I want to just reiterate that they land on you, is she's not going on Isagenix or on social media to sell Isagenix, right? Like she's building relationships. She's looking to connect with people that are her tribe, that want to be a part of that community, that she's sharing the culture, that she can add value to, and that she's putting posts up not to get a transaction. She's putting posts up to build relationships and to build trust and to build likability and not to sell something. And the other thing that really landed that I love, that I really want to reinforce, was that she said she was never going to build to an event that she had no shows, and that she was constantly meeting more people, doing more reach outs, adding more people to the list, that she wasn't going to have a secret party. And I just actually was driving home on the phone with Ashley talking about that you're always building to events. And if we build to our Wine Down Wednesdays, and if they don't come, we build to our Prosecco and protein, and then we build to a virtual, and then we build to this. And it's constantly building to events. And when Isagenix was in the biggest momentum, it was when we were building to events, because our culture and community is the number one thing that sets us apart. Second to the compensation plan, third to our incredible products. There's so many things, but this culture, this community, and we can't teach that on these calls necessarily, right? You've got to be into a room that someone's like, oh my gosh, how are you? I'm glad you're here. How's your day? And people that genuinely care. So I just love that. So Mackenzie, I would love for you to kind of, you were talking about how you needed a tool, and that's when we lost you, to kind of go from there. And then if you just want to transition, our calls are normally about 30 minutes. So I'm going to try to just wrap this up in the sake of people's time. But then some of the ways that you're connecting offline too, and just the way that you generally meet people, like how Rebecca met you, and that you're not just relying on social media, and what that looks like. This is so good. Thank you so much.
It's just showing up, right? And it's being willing to be messy in the beginning, and you have to try everything and figure out what works. That's what I'm really, really passionate about telling people, is that you have to figure out what works. What works for Lauren is not going to necessarily work for me, and what works for me might not work for you. But so I would host those Wellness Wednesdays, and then I would just follow up with people, and I would send them the recording. And why that's important to connect someone to a tool, right? So if someone misses a phone call with you, or someone ghosts you, right? Why I'm such a believer in using tools and why this duplicates is because you don't know what's going on in someone's life. I mean, I know sometimes people get cold feet, or they get overwhelmed, or they decide that, they don't think they have the time for this, or maybe because they're watching my social media, they think they can't do what I do, whatever it is, right? I can't read someone's mind, but I want to make sure I at least give them the information. So I'll send them a voice memo like, hey girlfriend, so bummed we weren't able to connect today. Let me know, if there's a time later that works. But in the meantime, I just wanted to get this information to you. And it might be a quick video. I just found it. It's called How Isagenix Works. It's on the Vimeo for Isagenix Europe. I don't know if anyone's seen that one, but I'm obsessed with it. And so I'd send them that. I mean, I built my whole business with Just Cleanse Mary Evans for a couple of years, but I'd send someone information. And I can't tell you now, 4.5 years building this business, and why I've had, I always strive to have, 1 to 2 to 4 enrollments a week, because I'm that active at connecting and, following up with people and loving on people and serving people, is I get them the information. And over the last 4.5 years, I'll have someone, message me 2 years later, right? Hey, Kenz, I watched that Just Cleanse Mary Evans video. Like, I'm interested in ordering a premium pack with Isagenix. It's like, what? Right? But making sure, and I think that's where maybe sometimes in the connecting aspect that people make the connections, and, someone backs out on you, someone ghosts you, someone doesn't show up. And, I just really made sure that whether or not they were ready or not, that I at least gave them information. And it's why I'm so passionate about too. If you're on my team, I tell people all the time, like, welcome people on the product page. Let them know and let them choose to leave, but welcome them in. Because I think sometimes what people fear the most is going to be melted away by, like Lauren was saying, like the culture that we have. Like, it is so different what we offer people. Yes, the product, and yes, the income opportunity, but too many men and women are struggling each day, dieting and frustrated and Googling and YouTubing, and they can be welcomed into a community that has tons of support, tons of love. So I tell people all the time till I'm red in the face, welcome them in with a picture, share their goals, tag 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 people in this, in this group that might resonate with their story, right? Make sure, and I'm so big with my people, is like, engage in this, make them feel welcome, make them feel loved. And then on that same point with connecting, and I could talk about connecting for 5 hours, is, find someone on your team that has a story, and then personally introduce them. Hey, Allison, I just welcomed you into our product page. I'm so excited, but I'm going to connect with one of my best girlfriends, Lisa, because she has a story so similar to yours. And, I know that I can lead you in this to your journey of losing X amount of pounds, or, earning an extra amount of income, per week or per month. But, Allison's done just that. And I just want to connect you guys and hear her story. And then I'll have I'll text my girlfriend and say, hey, I've put you in this message, right? Always let the person know. Can you just send your quick 30-second story and welcome her? And so to me, connecting goes just beyond like what you're doing on social media in person, but then also like, how are you leveraging this business and the tools to bring people in to give them the full experience of Isagenix? Does that make sense? So those are something really duplicatable things that I do within my team and I teach people is like, you know, bring them into the product page, be consistent on social media. And then, you know, what Lauren was saying is that, you know, my story might seem like a typical network marketing story or not. The bottom line was that if I didn't find Isagenix, I was going to find something else, right? But I was so hungry and I was willing to do the work, right? But people are hungry in different ways. So it might not be someone that's desperate for money, but, you know, a super savvy entrepreneur, which I like to think of myself as I was that. I was going to figure it out either way. Thank God Isagenix came in my life. But I think so often what I try to teach people and tell people too is you have to show all facets of this. You know, don't just talk about weight loss, share performance stories, right? Talk about energy, talk about stress levels, talk about money, talk about, you know, investing in a side business, talk about reallocating grocery money, you know, use all that language and share all the things, because if you're sharing the same thing all the time, there's so many people you're not going to connect and not going to attract. So that's online. And then, you know, I like to think that I do most of my business offline and I really treat it the same, but you know, for me, it's just, I take a huge interest in people and I make it a big effort, whether it's convenient or not, to, you know, get together with people or initiate things. And so, for example, like I moved to Dallas a couple months ago and it was so fun, but I really only knew one person there. And I basically chose to start all over by myself in Dallas, Texas. And, you know, in the beginning, I could have said like any move, I've moved so many times. It's like, okay, well, it's going to be so hard to meet girlfriends or like, how do I do this? But I was so excited. So if there was a cute brunch spot that I wanted to try, I would find any local Dallas Facebook groups and post my Instagram. Okay, I'm dying to try, you know, this restaurant. I would share a cute picture of it on my social media, but I'd say, okay, who wants to go do like a fun Sunday girls brunch? Okay, then someone would reach out online, right? And that's how I'd leverage social media. And I would message them, okay, like text any of your girlfriends. And I would literally, I mean, I do this all the time just to make friends, not for Isagenix, but you know, include other people and invite other people to an in-person event. And so I really utilized things that I wanted to do and things that I enjoy doing and thriving in. I love happy hour, right? So coordinating a lot of fun happy hours and telling people like, okay, bring your girlfriend, bring your coworker. And I started duplicating and growing a friend group by meeting people through people. In the same, when I'd meet a girlfriend who, you know, was looking for a job in finance, I'd connect her with someone that I met in finance, you know, really serving people. I love to have people over at my house, and in Dallas, it's just a little apartment, including women. I joined an amazing Bible study and I really figured out, okay, how do I fill my cup first so I can fill others? And that had to be outside of Isagenix too, right? So maybe you have, you know, certain passions, like I love photography. So it was a goal of mine actually to, you know, do a photography course in Dallas. And it was so fun. I'd never done anything like that. And I met so many amazing creative women that were passionate, but it also started so many amazing conversations, right? Because a lot of them were talking about camera equipment and buying lenses and how to afford that. And it actually led to a really beautiful conversation about how I was able to, you know, afford the time to take a photography class and why I love photography and what I was using photography for. But I really, really, you know, try to focus on what do I love to do? What do I enjoy doing? And how do I serve people best? So something with, you know, photography, and it's not like I'm a photographer by any means, but, you know, Isagenix allowed me to buy a really beautiful camera, and it's just like a side passion of mine. But that's a gift that I give to people in my life, whether it's my team or, you know, I've taken family portraits, or, you know, there's a local family here in Pensacola that had a sick baby that I just did family portraits for a couple nights ago. But I really love to use my talents and my passions to serve others. And so, you know, that could be like you love to cook. So why don't you plan maybe once a month and host a fun dinner club and find other women and, you know, put it out on social media, but just say, you know, I'm looking for this. I think what's really important is to share what you're looking for. So I'm looking for a couple women who want to gather once a month and break bread or have a glass of wine. I love to cook and I want to open up my home. I mean, you know, in 1 month, you could have so many different people around your dinner table and women you've never met in your area and connect with them. And just, you know, finding ways to build relationship and love on others. The blessing of Isagenix, you guys, is that everybody can use our products. Not everybody's going to, but it's everybody can use what we have. everybody's looking for some kind of wellness solution, or a great swap out. Everybody I know drinks coffee or energy drinks or some kind of smoothie or quick meals or meal prep, whatever it is, right? And if it's not our product, it's our income opportunity. So really looking at the end of the day, what are you doing to get out of the house, to enjoy your talents and passions, to share what you love with others, right? Before Isagenix might ever come up in the conversation. And I think that's what's cool, is showing people to be proactive about pursuing the things they love, and how Isagenix will come into that conversation after you've built relationships with people. And I think that's really, really important to share, because, you know, for a lot of people when they come into the business, they're not going to have a lot of time, and online is not going to be a comfortable place for them, right? I think what's so important, and I see that Lauren builds her business, is having something to invite people to that is Isagenix related. You know, if you have, I've seen different cute events with people in Isagenix that do like Wealth Wednesdays, and they, you know, or Wellness Wednesdays, whatever it is. But, you know, be committed to hosting an event and linking arms with other people, whether, you know, you're financially linked or not, and having something in person that you can invite people to, because it's just a very different energy. And, you know, I'm always looking for people that want to show up, that are, you know, they are a people person, that they will make the time to invest in, you know, friend time or getting together with other people. Those are people that I actually do want to link arms with in Isagenix. And, you know, how you're going to find that is by initiating some things and planning some things. But I think what's really cool is being able to welcome someone into my organization and say, okay, tell me what you love to do. And I'm going to show you how to be in a room with people that love to cook and build connections and build your love of cooking and build an income with Isagenix that can pay for more cooking lessons or a trip to Italy, whatever it is, a pasta making class. But share your love for Isagenix after you've built up relationships. Does that make sense? I mean, it's really choosing to be very, very proactive about connections. And so like I build a list, for example, like I met a new girlfriend in Pilates in Dallas. And this was one where it was just, I promised myself that I'm going to make a new in-person connection each day. Okay. It's not easy, that unless you're out of the house all the time, it's not easy. Right. But so I had not made a connection that day, and I was at Pilates. So I just turned to this cute girl next to me. You know, we're sitting there, we're all sitting there, and it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, what does she do at 2 o'clock that she's at a Pilates class? And I turned to her and I was like, hey, I'm really new at this. I'm gonna be watching you the whole time. I'm pretty nervous, but I hope you're good at this. Like, I was being so goofy and so weird. And she started laughing, and she's like, oh my gosh, well, welcome. And I said, and then I just kept the conversation going. And I said, I'm brand new to Dallas. Like, you know, is this the only Pilates class you take? And she's like, oh my gosh, where did you move from? And it evolved into a conversation, right? Because I chose to share some information, share like a part of my story within like 2 seconds. And I said, do you have Instagram? I'd love to connect. I'm new here, but I'm really getting into Pilates, and I would love, you know, some suggestions after. So that was my way of making a connection really quick. And then what I went home and did is I added her to my list, or probably when I got in the car, right? I have my list of people who reach out and my list of connections I'm making. And I went through that list a couple weeks later. I'm like, oh my gosh, I met that cute girl, Brianna, in Pilates. I'm going to message her and reconnect with her. And that's just my way of just consistently building relationships. And, you know, we're told all the time that 80% of your time in this business should be prospecting and connecting. And that's a really simple example of, I had to make an active choice. You know, it wasn't totally comfortable. It's not like, you know, conversation is always flowing, but I'm always choosing to start a conversation, compliment someone, you know, like Rebecca did with me in the spray tanning appointment. And if it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But always willing to try.
I love that. And I mean, you're so relatable. And I love too that like you share your vulnerability, that like you're not great at things, like connecting with the Pilates gal. You're like, it's my first time. I suck at this, because we grow. And a lot of us, like, we go to things that we're already familiar with and we're really good at. And like, you know, I was just in Pennsylvania and New York last week, and Jessica Rigner and Jamie Lynn Curley and I went into this crazy spin bar studio, right? And we were like, all of us had this like nervousness just because of the workout, like nothing else except like, oh gosh, we don't know what to do. Is it going to be hard? Like, we don't know if we're choreographed enough, whatever. And because we were new, like that's we're like, we're new, we're not from here. Like the instructor's like, oh my gosh, this and that. Like every single one of us built a connection while we were in there, because it's relatable. So we didn't go in there like, oh gosh, like we're gonna enroll all the girls from.
But you came in with like fun energy, and you're with a group of girlfriends, and like that's attractive to people. It's not how we explain Isagenix. It's not the fancy information. It's really the energy that we bring and the willingness just to try to make the connection.
Agree more with that. And I love that. And the spray salon. But one of the things that I want you guys to hear about that Mackenzie said, like if you can just add one person to your list a day, it's not hard if you leave, right? I remember like Eric Worre talking about in GoPro that if you're not going to meet somebody in your kitchen, you know, and so it's super important that you have to get out, and people are everywhere, and don't feel like, oh, I've got to compliment them and I've got to share Isagenix and I've got to tell them everything right now and send a video. You're just constantly adding people to the pipeline, right? That if I meet Kathy and we're chatting and I'm like, hey, I'm new to the area, you know, and I'm looking to meet other friends. I'm going to, you know, host this brunch at my house in a couple weeks. Like, I'd love to be able to invite you to it. People are looking for that community. And the brunch doesn't have to be about Isagenix either. It doesn't have to be a display, but over the time, and you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, she's going to ask, or when she actually does do a sip and sample, hey, you know, the girls that you came over for brunch with, we're actually doing a protein and Prosecco event. Like, I think you would love this. And there's trust and there's rapport. And so I think sometimes we're all so ready just to like go in and like get for the close that we skip the steps in genuinely connecting and building those relationships and getting to know people. And the analogy that I always use is it's like dating, right? Like, no one wants to go in and like go right for the one night stand. It doesn't make people feel good. But it's like getting to know people, and like you text back and forth and you call back and forth and you go out on a few dates, and inevitably this will happen, you know, and just kind of being a little bit gingerly with it. That doesn't mean people are not ready. It also was just saying that sometimes it takes a little bit of time and you don't have to go for the kill right away. So Mackenzie, we are so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being on our team call tonight. I love you to pieces. Thank you guys all for making a part of your Monday night. I'm gonna close out. But we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to get your ISA Academy tickets. Those are going to sell out so crazy fast when they announce the trainers on the 13th. And you guys follow Mackenzie. She's amazing. Love you guys. Bye.
Night.